It's the beginning of the year, that time when everyone pulls out their pen and paper and starts writing those New Year's resolutions, their forecasts, predictions and plans for what lies in the 12 months ahead. So I thought it was quite fitting that for our first full feature of the year, I make a few predictions of my own about what I might say about the new Audi S1 over the next 5 minutes. I'm probably going to tell you that the S differences are subtle, but the car still looks hot. That the interior is in keeping with Audi's move to simplicity, and it really works. And I'm likely to tell you that driving it around the track here at Kyalami, it is every bit an Audi. Composed and solid, but heaps of fun. And I'll probably end off with a little summary that while it is all of those things, it's still pretty expensive. So let's see if this little German can surprise me. This is the Sportback version we're testing, but of course there is a 3-door S1 available. There are some subtle changes to the rear bumpers and side sills, and the newcomer rides on 17 inches. There are also LED tail lights, and the quartet of exhausts tells you you're driving an S1, while this spoiler is part of the Quattro exterior styling package. The biggest difference though is up front, where S1 gets a new nose that we'll also be seeing on facelifted A1 later this year. Xenons add a little bit of S1 uniqueness, and all in all, it is a stunner of a hot hatch. Inside, the changes are again quite muted, although you do get a bit of a racy feeling from the brushed stainless steel pedals, flat-bottom steering wheel and partial leather seats. The instrument cluster is also differentiated from A1 by its grey background. A1 has never been a space buy, and S1 even less so, even if you buy the Sportback. The boot is even smaller thanks to changed suspension, which we'll get to later. And unfortunately, while we raved about the level of spec in the A3, S1 sees Audi back to its old tricks with very little included for your 450,000 Rand. I mean, crikey, even the seats are manual, but you can spec in all the juicy bits. Red brake calipers, keyless entry nav system and a Bose surround system. S1 is the first car in this class to be an all-wheel drive and Audi's first Quattro model on this platform. There are quite a few changes under the skin with that revised suspension I mentioned earlier. Audi's moved to independent rear suspension on this rather than the compound link on the A1. And that means you could do this. Cornering is made even more fun by the electronic diff lock with torque control, which means each power is getting the control that it needs, or the power that it needs. Obviously you've got the Quattro system, and that just makes the car feel so planted and in control, whether you're driving like Lindsay or driving like Marius. S1 sports 170 kilowatts and a stonking 370 Newton meters from its 2-litre TFSI. It's more than enough to give any GTI or RS a big old snortklap, and takes the S1 to 100 km an hour in 5.9 seconds. Top speed is not something I want to test, having not been on the track in quite some time, but Audi says it's good for 250 km an hour. Of course, for all that go, you need some stopping power, and the disc brakes have been uprated to 310 millimeters. Thankfully, they've stuck a 6-speed manual gearbox into the car, which is fantastic, but you do race through it because there is so much power, you're finding yourself gearing through so quickly. There's also a new electro-hydraulic steering system on S1, which is also going to filter through to the A1 facelift when it comes later this year. The only thing I'm really missing on this car is some paddles. So does the S1 live up to my predictions? Well, let's see. The car looks hot. Yes. Simple but classy interior. Tick. Composed but fun drive? Absolutely. Pricey? At 442,000 for the 3-door and just under 450,000 for the 5-door, you betcha. So yes, the S1 is entirely predictable, and I could just as well have done the review without having seen it in the flesh or even having driven it. But that doesn't make it any less fun or any less something that you might like to see in the crystal ball for your future.